Oh, it is I, Sam. Was just grabbing. These are medieval accurate sweatpants. They had these back then. Oh, what's this? I was just grabbing the map. Check this bad boy out. It's got yellow in it now. I need to find someone who can help me get that to like look nice and look like I can like a vector image. But that's our world. It's called Nuevo Ada, which means general land in Terran. It's not a very creative name, but you know, I didn't name it, they did. Mm. With every one of these, I want to present a kind of like a cool writing tip, or something that's helped me in my fantasy writing journey. Um, if you want to call it that lame phrase. And I'm sorry to everyone who is doing the audio version only of this podcast because I just totally showed something. There's a map. You can find it on the site. Go be on the site. It's going to be great. But last time it was the construction of scientific words by a guy. I think his last name is Wilson or Wilbur. But it's a great place for naming characters, naming things, naming anything. Today's tip will be to study the artwork of Alex Jones, the man who brought the highbrow to the comic. Look at this. This is a Spider-Man villain named the Scorpion. Because the Scorpion is the natural enemy of the spider. But just look at that. Alex Jones. You know what I'm saying? And look at that. Electro or the Shocker is like hands down one of the lamest Spider-Man villains, and he's still, I don't know. I mean, he did his best. Yeah, that's another visual for the people who are just listening. It's another visual there. So yeah, what I want to do is read the latest chapter because that's what we do. Ethel the Bastard. The illusions. We'll do a separate one on that. So we've done chapters one, et deux, et deux. So we got to do CH3. Here we go. This is where the chapters start getting shorter and they're more easy to digest. So wham, here we go. AFL the Bastard, Chapter 3. Here's our dramatic, opening lines. Get ready. Get ready for some profundity. Hmm. Eloquence inbound, excuse me. I will minimize that. Updates to prevent some confusion. Formerly this was snippets, but I'm going to have this be Chapter 3 now. Chapters will be shorter. Chapter 4 posted 10 a.m. Eastern today. Okay, so cool. All right, when we last left AFL, he just nearly died in a duel. On his trusty horse, Echo's back. He's only just made his way back to his men. Slumped forward in a daze, AFL woke to men shouting his name. Though he heard the men calling out to him, such were the depths of AFL's woe that he didn't even bother answering them. He only dimly comprehended they were calling at all. His mind was seeming to leave him, and he felt very light throughout all his limbs. And that part of AFL that could comprehend that these voices sought him wanted to never face these men again. He hated to sleep, but now he yearned more than anything for that smooth, black oblivion that took away all the cares that burdened him. Sleep was the Elysian of pain. Over the last week, the men under his leadership had failed so thoroughly to contain a brazen attack on a vassal state that 3 towns were burned and dozens killed, all innocents, some children. The men that did it had slipped through his grasp. He had only barely been able to track down one of them, and even that one had shared nothing about their origins. Dazed as Aethel was, he nonetheless remembered that his attacker had said something just before the man had expired. Or, rather, it was something he had tried to say. Speaking was far harder when the voice had to find its way around a dagger through the neck. Fa, wool, alawe? What were those words? The man had said something, but the knife in his neck had made speech difficult. as tends to happen. And just then, Aethel passed into the grasp of his men. My lord, thank God you're all right, someone said. Lord Marshal, you cannot run off like that, said another. Unprotected, Lord, my lord, you're bleeding. Someone grabbed Echo's reins a bit too hard, and she jerked. Aethel tried to bat the man's hand off. Come with us, Lord Aethel, said one of the men. Get him space to breathe. Stand back, said another voice. Make space for the Earl of Darren, Lord Marshal, Earl Darren, and Aethel. He had so many names. Where were you, Castleton? Asked someone in a rage. Aren't you his squire? Aethel had hands on him. I chased after him the same as did you, my lord, said Castleton. Many arms grabbed at him and attempted to convey him from Echo. They were out of the forest now. It was wide and open field. His leg has fast lost its blood, said a man. There were so many men around now, far more than the few who had brought him out of the forest. It was an encampment. An army was mobilizing. The knights, men-at-arms, and soldiers watched Aethel being carried on the white horse. Some came over to help. Some walked along the little troop. Most merely gawked. Hundreds of soldiers and horsemen moved in formation off to his right. You're supposed to be nearer to him than his very sword, said the enraged man to Castleton. Someone brought a stretcher. Have the bleeding at the leg stopped, lest Lord Aethel lose it. Now he floated off his savior, Echobel of the Blue, his white horse, who was now streaked with her rider's blood. Aethel moaned to go back to her. What saith he? Said someone. I think he hath not his faculties about him, lord, said another. 4 sets of arms got Aethel off Echo. He walked with all of their 8 legs to the stretcher, like an insect, and laid him down upon the bands that wove together its back. All right, thank you, everybody. That has been chapter 3. Now, short, nice, easy to digest. Boom.